Witchfire is an upcoming first-person shooter video game developed and published by the Astronauts. The game is set to be released for Windows PC in early access in September 2023. Judging from its featured art, in-game screenshots, and sneak preview footage, Witchfire will be a medieval-based first-person shooter in which post-apocalyptic elements are sewn into the fibers. According to the blurb, the dark fantasy FPS will look to incorporate a combat system similar to the likes of Elden Ring and BioShock. The game will also center its narrative around the war against Witch's Age, which will no doubt play into the. Granted, details surrounding Witchfire, its story in particular, are incredibly scarce and in no way, shape, or form fleshed out with all the bells and whistles you'd expect to see this late in development. That said, we do know that the upcoming medieval RPG will be based around the war against witches period, and will also feature an unnamed protagonist who must travel to the Black Sea in search for an ancient artifact. As for what powers this specific artifact will hold isn't clear, but given the game's pagan roots, it will no doubt come lathered in dark and mystical magic. That's about all we know, though. Witchfire will play into the high-octane bullet-riddled style of FPS subsidiary and will feature combat that is highly reminiscent of games like Bulletstorm and Painkiller. It hasn't been said whether or not the game will be open world, but its roguelike elements will no doubt give players more than enough to chew on, regardless of map or level size. And there will be pagan magic, too. Again, this will come enveloped in the same style as the elemental magic used in BioShock. So there's also that to look forward to. But in short, it's a roguelite for people who hate roguelites, the developer says. The game offers a challenging but satisfying gameplay experience, and with multiple roads to victory. It's no secret that the Astronauts has had something of a tough time trying to find a foothold in the market since developing the BAFTA-winning mystery game, The Vanishing of Ethan Carter. Although now confirmed to be a dark fantasy FPS, Witchfire was, in fact, first coined as a sci-fi survival simulator. Believe it or not, we have reached for other genres, too. The Astronauts adds, Catharsis was a 2D arcade shooter, Reflux was an RTS, and Gorky 17 was a strategy RPG. One of the reasons we called the studio the Astronauts was to emphasize the journey to new places. After we made an innovative, we think, narrative game, now we want to make a shooter unlike anything we've done before. The good news is, in spite of the Astronauts' inability to find the spotlight these past 5 years, the studio has, in fact, managed to produce 2 sneak previews of Witchfire, the latest being shown at the Summer Games Fest 2022. You can catch a glimpse of the dark fantasy FPS looking shinier than ever in the embed above. As you can see in the teaser, Witchfire uses the photogrammetry tech we previously used in The Vanishing of Ethan Carter, the Astronauts website claims. This tech allows us to 3D scan real-life objects, even entire buildings, and use them as digital assets in our games for unparalleled visual quality and natural, organic look and feel. We believe we can push the tech even further with new tools, hardware, and all the experience we gathered during the development of our first game. Witchfire will be releasing in early access on PC via the Epic Games Store in early 2023. According to the Astronauts, Epic Games will retain the rights to host the game exclusively for at least 1 year, after which it will be coming to Steam, and perhaps even consoles thereafter. It hasn't been confirmed whether or not it will be coming to Xbox One or PlayStation 4 just yet, though it seems current-gen consoles will be prioritized over all else at this moment in time. At this point, there hasn't been any word on Witchfire coming preloaded with any special or collector's editions. It will, of course, still have its standard versions on the Epic Games Store.
Hi, my name is Karol Krok and I'm a designer at The Astronauts. In this video, I want to show you how spells work in Witchfire. The first thing to know is that we have two types of spells in the game. Light spells are quick, easy to execute and cost relatively small amount of stamina. Heavy spells, as you can imagine, are slower to execute, and it takes longer for our witch hunter to regenerate before he can use one again. The heavy spell we are seeing here is a cursed phantom bell that you can ring up to 3 times with your bullets. Ringing the bell stuns all nearby minor enemies, and if repeated properly, it can stun even major enemies. The second thing to know about spells in Witchfire is that most of them are based on 4 core elements: water, earth, fire, and air. Each element has its own unique property. For example, enemies set on fire receive more damage. On top of that, elements interact with each other in intuitive ways. Here, I attack an enemy with Shock Light spell. The damage and the element spread to other nearby enemies. Now, I'll do the same thing again. Let me set enemy on fire with my shotgun. And now, there! As you can see, the bolts affecting nearby enemies were more powerful, and that is because the source enemy was burning, receiving more damage from my bullets. And these are the basics of the spell system in Witchfire. Spells are as important in the player arsenal as his weapons, and using both is the key to survival in the land of the witch. Thank you for watching, and do usłyszenia!